It's time now for This Week in Retrospect. Here's Ty Roswell.
We start our week in retrospect in 1994. As the snow begins to fall, drivers are given winter safety tips for the road ahead.
We've been expecting the snow for some time, but as always, drivers are caught off guard with its arrival. As a result, there have been a number of accidents around Lloydminster today, like this one at 47th Street and 59th Avenue. A grain truck tipped after slipping while going around a corner. Driver of the truck, Gerald Wells, says the conditions were worse than he thought.
I was going slow. It's just, you can't even stand on the road. It's so slippery today. So it just caught me off guard. First day of winter, I guess.
Police say only minor injuries were reported from the fender benders around the city. Don Whiting with Lloydminster's rescue squad says half the battle with winter driving is being prepared mentally and having your car ready for the season.
Then the next thing is to have your vehicle prepared for winter. Are the tires and the oil and the antifreeze all ready? Is the heater motor and the heater working good? That type of thing.
Before heading out on the highway, it's important to take a few things with you. First aid kit, a flashlight and flares in case of breakdown on the highway, a heat source, candles come in handy, and also a tin can that you can put the candles in, matches or a lighter to light the candles with. Sleeping bag is also handy for an extra source of warmth, or a blanket. And in case you're stuck in, a shovel also comes in very handy. But there's even one more important rule of the road.
Today with cell phone service and mobile phone service, there's a lot less chance that somebody's going to be left out in the middle of nowhere, but it's still entirely possible. Good idea. Never leave your vehicle if you don't have to.
If you are traveling on highways, checking both the forecast and highway information lines is a good idea before heading out.
And in 1998, Bring Your Kid to Work Day has the youth thinking ahead on their futures.
They've traded in their pencils and textbooks for a day in the real world. For grade 9 students in the border city, it's a chance to take a peek at what lies ahead and even live out some childhood dreams.
Since I was little, I kind of wanted to be a firefighter or a policeman or something, you know, so this is just, so you grow up, you just kind of like to learn about it, so nothing really surprised me.
We started with a tour of the fire hall, and I explained to the boys how the system works, like from the time a fire call is received to what happens here and the end result on the street.
The program has been running for 5 years. It originally started in Ontario, but it's now spread to schools all over the country. This is the first year Lloydminster students have taken part.
And they're getting a first-hand experience in working and observing that person or people in their job. And it's giving them an awareness on what that job is like. They're seeing a connection between the school and the community.
With high school course selections right around the corner, the program targets specifically grade 9 students, helping guide them in their future endeavors.
Some of them will come back hopefully with an idea of perhaps, you know, what some of their future goals are. And so, you know, therefore it ties directly into what we're teaching.
Over 100 community businesses and workplaces took part in the program today, ensuring its success. And not only did the students benefit from the day, there's also a sense of accomplishment for each organization as well.
One of the major goals is to provide a partnership with the community, and we really did see that happen this week as we had calls from different businesses. And I think a lot of businesses really tried to make it a real hands-on day for students. There was a lot of preparation work on their part, making sure that the students had, you know, a really good look at the area of work that was involved with that job.
And that's it for this week in Retrospect.
Retrospect this week is brought to you by Webb's Ford. Worth your while to drive the extra mile. Webb's Ford in Vermilion.
Abby joins us now for a look at the weather, and it was a bit of a gray and foggy day and start to the week. What do we have looking ahead?
Well, yes, we have experienced a lot of fog. We had it yesterday as well, and we were under a fog advisory. That continues today in most of this region and a little bit into Saskatchewan as well. Yes, it was a very gloomy day out today, which wasn't too great. A little pretty chilly, but not too bad. The wind chill making it feel closer to -3 than that 1 degrees where we're sitting at. That wind coming in at 17 kilometers per hour. So it wasn't super cold in temperature, but with the gray skies and the fog, it made it just feel very gloomy out. And then more temperatures across the region. Like I said, a lot of these areas are under a fog advisory, not a warning, just an advisory, just to let people know that if they're traveling on the highways or the roads, just to have a little bit more precaution when doing so. But more temperatures across the region, 2 in Cold Lake, St. Paul, Vermilion, Wainwright, and Provost, 3 degrees out in Vegreville, 6 out in Edmonton, 1 in Lac La Biche, and 4 out in Bonnyville. And then on the Saskatchewan side, Isle La Crosse is sitting at 0 degrees, and then 2 in Green Lake, North Battleford and Maidstone, 4 in Macklin, 2 also out in St. Walburg, 3 in Pearceland and in Maidstone. And then overnight tonight in North Battleford dropped to -1 degrees, low clouds, so gloomy skies overnight tonight in North Battleford. And then tomorrow that cloud coverage will continue over into the day with a high of +3. And then over tonight in Cold Lake, similar to North Battleford and us here in Lloydminster, low clouds, quite gloomy out, also foggy as well. -1 will be your overnight temperature in Cold Lake. And then tomorrow, a daytime high of 4 degrees, and again, expect another gloomy day as well. And then overnight tonight here in Lloydminster, following that same trend, gloomy weather overnight tonight with a low of -2. So it won't be too cold out tonight, but with that fog and overcast, it's going to feel a little bit cooler. And then just to break down your day for tomorrow, around morning, it will be -2, cloudy skies all throughout the day. And then around recess time, it will be -10 around midday, lunchtime. And then by the time school is out, around 3 o'clock, it will be 2 degrees, and again, quite cloudy. And then over the next 3 days here in Lloydminster, a high of 2 and a low of -3 for tomorrow. And then we get plenty of sunshine on Wednesday with a high of +3 and a low of -5. And then on Thursday, a mix of sun and cloud, mostly sunny skies with a high of +1 and a low of -8. So that's always something nice to look forward to for this week in weather. As your first look at your evening weather forecast, I'll have a more in-depth look at your overnight temperatures later on in the show.
Thanks, Abby. Coming up after the break, Saskatchewan's election is less than a year away, and the provincial parties are readying their game plans. Welcome back. The 45th Stockade Roundup came to a close with the Supreme Show, where all the champions from throughout the week competed for Grand Champion honors. Our Thomas Wildman has more.
This is what everyone has been waiting for. The final show of the week, where the very best 8 bulls and the 8 best heifers and cow-calf pairs would go head-to-head with only one getting the grand prize. The decision would come down to John and Tammy Dolliver and Kyle and Jocelyn O'Neill. Once the decision had been made, the top 4 females and bulls were welcomed back to the ring, where the grand champions would be declared. First would be the female grand champion.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, our champion female Oliver Black.
Your grand champion female Greenwood Beauty 58H with calf Greenwood Beauty 56L at side. However, the excitement was only beginning to build for Greenwood cattle. They would pull off the sweep with the Grand Champion bull Greenwood 4 Mile 47J. And for the Paynes, who had one Grand Champion female and bull in the past at Stockade Roundup, but pulling off both in 1 year was truly something special.
It's always an honor to win your hometown show, and I actually can't comment if it's the first time or not, but it doesn't matter. It's super cool, and we're just really happy with how the cattle did this week.
All three animals are partly owned by other breeders, and so for one young breeder, it was his first time winning a Supreme.
In general, yeah, first time Supreme. It's can't say much. It's amazing. Definitely super excited. Yeah, super cool experience.
And so that will be a wrap on another fantastic edition of the Stockade Roundup. For Primetime Local News, I'm Thomas Wildman.
Today I'm joined by Terry Lynn with the Lloydminster Chamber, and we're here today to talk about the Lloydminster Christmas Craft Fair and Chamber Expo, which is coming up soon. And to start, for those unaware, can you just talk a little bit about the expo for those unaware?
Yes. So the Lloydminster Christmas Craft Fair and Chamber Expo is in their 35th year. It is one of the largest trade shows in the Midwest, and we're super excited to be a sold-out event. There's going to be over 350 vendors, and it is being held November 17th through the 19th.
And can you talk a little bit about the Skip the Line incentive that you guys have planned this year?
Yes, so there is always a large lineup to get into the Christmas Craft Fair. They usually start lining up at 9 o'clock on Friday morning to get in for 10. So you can purchase your tickets at the Lloydminster Chamber website and skip that line. You prepay, and then you just scan your ticket as soon as you come in. You don't have to worry about the lines and paying there, so it goes a lot faster.
And you were saying how this is the 35th annual iteration of this event. Can you talk about how the event has changed over the years?
Well, the event has changed. The name has changed a few times, but the whole incentive, the feeling of the Christmas Craft Fair and Chamber Expo has been the same for as many years. So there is over 350 vendors, and there's homemade businesses, crafters, and there's larger businesses coming, and then there's the food court. And so there is a little bit for everybody.
And these community events are nothing without the backbone support of the team behind them. So can you just talk a little bit about the team that put this all together?
Yeah, so we have an amazing partnership. The Lloydminster Chamber of Commerce partners with the Christmas Craft Fair. So it is done by two different organizers, but is put on as one big show. So most people don't understand that, and we've been able to showcase it as one show just because of the great partnerships between the two organizations.
Were there any last things that you'd like to add regarding the event?
We're just really excited to be hosting our 35th expo. It brings a lot of people into our community. Our hotels are full. Not only the vendors that are at the LloydX being shopping at, but other people come into town from all over and spend money in our community. So it's an amazing weekend, and I'm so excited to showcase our community.
All right, so quickly before we all wrap up, I'd like to hear about the admission for the event.
So the admission is $7 for entry, and anybody 12 and under is a free admission. And you can get those at the door, or you could do the Fast Pass and pre-purchase them.
All right, perfect. Well, that is all the time that we have today. Thank you so much for taking the time to come.
Thank you.
Furniture set and design supplied by Furniture Gallery, downtown Lloydminster.
I'm joined by Constable Kelsey Davidge today, and we're talking about keeping yourself safe from cybercrime, especially during the busy upcoming holiday shopping season. A lot of people have turned to online shopping as a convenient way to get their shopping done, but there are some risks. What did people in our local region fall victim to last year?
The big one I saw was that 5,653 reports of fraud, whether that be money, property, or security, less than $5,000, and then we had 445 in November and 401 in December of last year. So just again, it's that increase that we see a lot during that holiday season, going probably along with online shopping, or right, or scammers are targeting people more at that time of the season.
Kelsey, what are some of the RCMP's recommendations and tips for people to keep themselves safe during this upcoming shopping season?
We're seeing many websites enter in that multi-factor processing, or kind of where you can enter in your password, or maybe you have to use that two-step process when checking out. This is one I totally recommend using. Again, it's you are verifying that you are a real person. It's not going to be, I am human. It's not that one where it's a robot maybe stealing your data and using your information to purchase something. We always recommend purchasing from reputable websites, right? If you see one that pops up and maybe it shows something that's normally worth $1,000, yet today you can get it for $100, that should be raising your red flag, saying this deal's almost too good to be true. And maybe it could be, but always verify that website or platform is real, right?
And what should people do? I know it's kind of embarrassing, but what should they do if they do find that they've fallen victim to one of these cyber criminals?
Right. Even though, don't be embarrassed. This happens, like I said, to anyone. Please come in and report it to either us, or you can always call and report to the Canadian Anti-Fraud Center. So if you just use your Google there and type that in, they'll show many ways on how to report it and to get maybe your data back. Or we always recommend reaching out to the platform itself and maybe reporting that. And number one thing is head into the bank or call the bank and make sure that your passwords and usernames and everything is changed, so that if someone was to get your data at a certain time, that those passwords or codes or whatever is not valid for the future, okay? Another big thing we recommend is review those privacy settings regularly in order to control who can see what personal information and what's being posted to your profile.
All right, thank you so much for your time today, Constable Davidge. I appreciate it.
Taking a final look at the next 3 days for weather. Expect a cloudy day for tomorrow with a high of +2 and a low of -3. And then on Wednesday, that sun should be back out and shining with a high of +3 and a low of -5. However, it will be on the windier side as well. And then on Thursday, a little bit of cloud coverage, but for the most part should be a sunny day with a high of +1 and a low of -8 to round out the next 3 days here in Lloydminster.
Okay, tonight we have a special birthday message. Annie Quinn from Turtleford, Saskatchewan turns 100 today. Her family has reached out to us to give a special happy birthday wish for this milestone day. The youngest of three, Annie was born on November 6, 1923 to Robert and Margaret Kidd, who immigrated to Canada from Northern Ireland. They settled on a farm in the Stowley area. Annie and her siblings traveled by foot or horse to Cottage Grave School, a mile and a half away from their farm. Annie left to attend school, and her brother Stanley and their father stayed on the farm. On September 29, 1947, Annie married George Quinn and went on to raise 8 children together on a farm 7.5 miles west of Turtleford. They spent years growing crops and raising cattle, pigs, chickens, and milking cows. Annie found a love for gardening and making their home beautiful by planting an assortment of flower beds around the farmland. Annie and George had a love of traveling, going to places like Scotland, Fiji, Ontario, and New Zealand. In 2003, sadly, George passed away after celebrating 55 years of marriage. After his passing, Annie continued to travel, her last trip being to Mexico with 2 of her daughters at the age of 90. Annie continues to be a huge role model for not only her children's lives, but her many grandchildren and great-grandchildren's lives. From us here at PTLN, we wish her a happy 100th birthday. That's it from us tonight. Thank you for watching. Enjoy your evening.